purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome into Hoist the Colors on this Thursday, November 21st edition of the program. We are 2 days out from East Carolina and North Texas. We are going to dive into the Mean Green with a former staff member of ECU here shortly and also a former staff member of North Texas. We are going to be joined by Mark Yellock in a few minutes. Former D-line coach at both institutions. We'll get his breakdown. We haven't talked to Coach Yellock in a couple of weeks, so looking forward to that. Later in the program, we are also going to talk with Ethan Plinsky from Mean Green 24/7. He covers North Texas for 24/7 Sports, so we'll get the scoop on the Mean Green, figure out what's happened with them with a few losses in a row. In fact, I believe 4 losses in a row. They were 5-1 on the season. They're now down to 5-5. So Mean Green fighting for BOA eligibility. ECU is already BOA eligible. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So if you have a question, comment, concern, drop it there. We'll get to it over the next hour. We may talk some Pirate hoops as well. ECU scheduled to play around 3:30 in the Boardwalk Battle in Daytona Beach. And we'll see what time that game starts. You've got 2 games in the MTE ahead of East Carolina, Jacksonville State. And it's scheduled to start around 3:30. We'll see if it actually tips off then, maybe a little later. So we'll get into that and preview the Boardwalk Battle as well. All right, we have Mark Yellock standing by. Let's head out to the live line and catch up with the former Pirate player and coach. And Coach Yellock, been a few weeks, and the Pirates have gotten a few wins since we last talked to you. So let's get a quick update. How are you feeling about the BOA-eligible Pirates?
I mean, they did it. I think Coach Harrell's done a good job of getting those guys to play hard and keep them within what they're doing. The offense has been, done some good things and been explosive at times, and done some things that we probably should have saw earlier in the season, but it seems like it's just now clicking right now for them.
Mark Yellock is with us, and look, we've talked about Coach Yellock. We talked about Coach Harrell this time, and if he keeps winning games, he's going to become more of a legitimate candidate. Well, I've heard with now 3 wins, and it should be obviously noted 3 wins over teams that ECU was favored by at least a touchdown against. So you have to take that into consideration. But now 3-0 as an interim head coach, and he's got, I would say, 2 stiff challenges ahead. North Texas is the first game ECU will be an underdog as he goes on the road this week. Then Navy on a short week with Navy coming off a bye. So we'll see how these last 2 games go. But do you think at this point it's fair to consider Blake Harrell a candidate for the job?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to, in the sense of how the kids are playing and the drastic improvement is being just, and again, we'll see. Again, you're always as good as your last game, right? So, it's, I think he's a candidate. I think, of course, the players are going to feel like they want to play for him and everything else. So, again, some of that stuff is out of our hands, I think, a little bit, I think it's up to the brasses about who they want to, and the donors about who they want and who they feel the vision. We've talked about this earlier, what direction they want the program to go, and I think that's really up to that, I think that, what you said earlier about the fact that, they were favored, they won games where they were favored in. Well, I'm pretty sure there were some other games that they were favored in and they didn't win. And that would be my rebuttal to that. A win is a win, regardless if you're favored or not. That's not out of your control about who other people feel that, you're favored in. You just have to win games. He's done some good things with it. I thought that, he almost let one go against Tulsa. And, the turnovers are huge, and they got to stop that if they continue to turn over. They can't do that versus North Texas. North Texas offense is pretty freaking good. they're very explosive. They got a quarterback does a really good job of getting that ball out, and we'll see defensive wise because they just let go their coordinator. So we'll see how they are on defense. Probably an odd front. There was an odd front before because I think the guy was from Iowa State, so he does some of the Iowa State stuff. So I don't see them straying too far away from doing stuff like that either. So.
Mark Yellock with us, and all right, Coach, you spent time at North Texas and East Carolina, so. Look, I know you're an ECU guy, but any conflicted feelings? Like, how much do you follow the Mean Green these days, given your few years spent there?
Well, let's be clear. Now, again, North Texas was an employer of mine, and you have to say it in that fashion, and that's reality. But it's Pirates always. Now I do have some guys that I work with that's on their staff right now. And I wish them good success, but it's always ECU. It's never a conflicting deal when it comes to ECU. That's the place that you grew up in. That's the place that I've, take aside the fact that I coached here at one time. It's just, I played here. So that's always going to be that. I'll tell you, if I didn't, there's something about me. I'm not like some of the other people. I don't wear anything, no other team, NC State, Carolina, none of that stuff. And that's not a slack against them, but I don't wear any other schools other than, unless I work for that school. I don't wear any other schools other than Pirates. So that's how I've always been.
Mark Yellock with us, ECU alum. All right, so I am going to go to Denton for this game. I've been to Dallas plenty of times, Coach, but never Denton, Texas. And I'm getting into to Fort Worth, Dallas, the airport there around 9 o'clock. So I'm not gonna have time to do anything Friday night, but Saturday I'm staying right by the campus. Any recommendations? Is there anything to do in Denton to kill some time before the 2:30 local kickoff? You got any recs for me?
Here's a breakfast spot. You got to go there. I probably had to talk to you. I probably had to text this to you because I can't remember the freaking name. So it's with a CH. I want to say Chilosos. It's a Hispanic food restaurant. I mean, it's a restaurant, but it's like they have phenomenal breakfast. It's over there by the mall, which is not that far from where you're at. I used to stop there all the freaking time on the way to work. It is phenomenal breakfast. Just get you a burrito, get your whatever. That food is authentic too, of course, and it's just awesome. When it comes to food tasting, I know you're gonna be waking up in the morning, so that'll really fill you up. Gosh, I'm trying to think of anything else because there's a lot of places over there. But I will say this, yeah, they got brisket and everything else. That's pretty good, but nothing beats Eastern North Carolina barbecue either. So I'm just going to say that to you too. So, but no, I had to think about it, and I had to text it to you a little bit later on.
Okay, yeah, shoot me that, and we'll check it out for sure on Saturday prior to the game. ECU North Texas coming up. It'll be 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central Time. And before we dive too much more into the Mean Green, let's take a look back at that Tulsa game, Coach Yellock. And look, you've played at Tulsa before. You know how different it is in that empty-ish stadium. And, you got to create your own energy. ECU, 4 turnovers, 12 penalties. The American came out and admitted they blew a call on what would have been a 71-yard touchdown run by Rajay Harris. That cost ECU. You had a few other missed calls from the officials, but at the end of the day, you get out there with a win, man. So, what does that do for this team? I mean, yeah, they've beaten some bad teams badly, but to find a way to win on the road, how much can that help going forward?
Well, I just think that you just get in the groove, right? And it goes back to what we had talked about before when they won the other game. I think of the versus Temple that me and you talked. It just solidifies the fact that, in my mind, that Coach Harrell has got the kids believing in what they're trying to do. They're going to have to grow up a little bit because they can't play like they played against Tulsa consistently and think they're going to win the next 2 games. And that's not because of North Texas is better or whatever the scenario may be, because North Texas is on a slump themselves. It's just that it doesn't fall in your favor to consistently turn the ball over, consistently play erratic football and think that you're going to win. I just think that, and plus you're on the road again. So you got to play a cleaner game in the sense of penalties and a cleaner game in the sense of turnovers and just this crazy turnovers. And you can't do that. And those things right there, if they can continue to improve on that, then we'll see how things go. I think they'll have a good chance at it.
Mark Yellock is with us, former Pirate defensive line coach, also a former player, coached in North Texas as well. And Coach Yellock, you look at this matchup, I think the over-under for the game is like 73.5 total points, which is a lot of points. We know North Texas can score. You look at their schedule recently, yes, they've lost 4 in a row, but before this recent stretch where they've struggled, they played one-score games against Tulane and Memphis. They were right there, and then kind of ran into the buzzsaw that is Army, and then got tripped up at UTSA, which plays very good at home. So I don't know, North Texas, 4 losses in a row. They just fired their defensive coordinator. So what can ECU expect this week from that defense? It's not like you can change a whole scheme in 6 days. So does ECU just have to go in and play their game, see how it kind of unfolds?
Yeah, I think so. You have to look at the tea leaves, and what I mean by that is you have to look at where the Odom, I think that's the new interim DC. Am I correct with that?
Yeah.
He was at Oklahoma at one time when Lincoln Riley was over there. So, I mean, he runs and then during that time there was Stoops who ran that odd front. They were an odd front. You're not going to, of course, they'll probably have some even front looks and everything else. Every team does, but they're going to primarily be out of the odd front, and they're going to probably, do a lot of movement and do what they normally do. It just it's too much. Not too much you can do to change things up. This late in the season, you can add a couple of wrinkles or emphasize a little bit more in the sense of certain calls, but I think the ECU just go in there and they play the game. They play how they've been playing. You're playing with monopoly money in a sense. What I mean by that is, what do you have to lose? You're bowl eligible. You already accomplished that task. Now you just try to go over there to Denton and play a clean game, and knowing that it's going to be a shootout. So you got to be able to play the game the correct way. You can't turn the ball over and give them an extra possession with a team that can score 40 to 50 points a game. So that's one of the things you got to kind of look at. Take care of the ball, break serve with them, and then you have a chance to and get into the fourth quarter and see how it all shakes out.
Coach, speaking of North Texas and, the matchup, and you used to coach there, and you coached there with John David Baker a few years. And, through the first half of the season, some Pirate fans were like, I don't see what all the hype is about. Well, now this offense, and again, some of it may be the opponent, some of it may be Caden Hauser at quarterback, but the offense has produced 3 straight 500-yard-plus games. For the first time since 1989, Coach, they have rushed for more than 200 yards in 3 straight games. So, what have you seen allowing this offense to kind of click the second half of the season?
Well, Steven, I want you to go and go back to the tape. We got on here one time, and I said, with this type of offense, and I said with Rajay initially, but I said that normally this offense functions well when you have these 200-some yards rushing, or 100-some yards rushing, or you have a really good rushing total to complement the passing game. So if you get 230, 280-some yards passing, and then you turn around, and again, you do the same thing on the ground, around 200, 199-ish, you're going to do this. This is when this offense does a pretty good job. You can go back to looking at how Ole Miss runs their offense, and how it is, and even this year how they're doing it. They're found their rhythm. This is the numbers that they need to be making, in the sense stats wise, in order to be efficient. Because before they were throwing the ball, they were getting like 280 something, and then like maybe 70 yards rushing or 80 yards rushing. I mean, and they weren't doing as well. But then you get a good complement with the running game and the pass game, then it goes from there. I mean, I think that is the important piece that you have to look at, and I think that if you continue on that role, I think that's what makes this system that they're running pretty good. And JDB, he's a really good coach. I really am impressed with him. I know some people may not feel that way as a fan, but I've talked to the young man and I've many times, and I think that he has a good mind for the game. Just unfortunately, some of the things ain't going his way, and some things it's just how luck goes sometimes. But I'm glad to see he has some success right now.
He is Mark Yellock, former ECU defensive line coach, and I tell you what, Coach, text me that restaurant, and I'll shoot you a picture from Denton on Saturday when I get there. But I appreciate the rec and the time as always. I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I don't know exactly what our schedule is going to be like next week because we're off Thursday, Friday from our show due to Thanksgiving and the Friday game. But we'll try and connect. We'll talk either way, man. But I appreciate it as always.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Go Pirates. Definitely, I'll get you that stuff.
Absolutely. That is Mark Yellock, one of the best in the business for sure, and a great Pirate, also a great football coach. We'll get a break in. We'll come back. We'll continue our talk and our preview of North Texas with Ethan Plinsky, who covers the Mean Green for 24/7 Sports. So we'll have that conversation next. This is Hoist the Colors on a Thursday.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo. Yes, that was so good. On 94.3, The Game.
All right, welcome into Hoist the Colors. Welcome back in. We are previewing ECU North Texas. On this Thursday, we just talked to former ECU D-line coach and North Texas D-line coach Mark Yellock to get his take on the matchup. Now we're going to go out to Texas, talk with Ethan Plinsky from Mean Green 24/7 Sports. Does a great job covering North Texas for the network. And Ethan, first off, welcome to the show. Secondly, kind of an interesting matchup. ECU North Texas haven't met in football but one time, I think back in 1979. So I don't know. Is there any buzz that way about this matchup just because these two teams really rarely meet on the gridiron?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Steven. There hasn't really been much buzz about, the past game. I haven't heard much about it. I mean, obviously in the game notes, it's a big thing is, it's the second all-time meeting, so that's obviously a little bit of an angle to take for this game. But, yeah, I mean, obviously ECU kind of beat them down pretty bad in that last one, so I don't know. We're obviously not taking anything away from that game going into this one, but, yeah, I mean, it should be a good matchup. UNT, they've obviously fired their defensive coordinator, got an interim defensive coordinator and Brian Odom coming in. So it should be an interesting weekend for sure.
Ethan, we know around here, when you make a firing, it obviously can go one of two ways for ECU. It's worked out, pretty good, although ECU's been favored in these three games. They have won against Temple, FAU, and Tulsa, the first two coming in pretty dominating fashion. So, look, I mean, when you fire a DC in season, it can lead to, some poor results, I guess, if the players don't buy into the interim, but also can kind of jolt those guys. So what's the early prognosis been on kind of the players' reaction to that move?
Yeah, so I asked the senior linebacker Jordan Brown about it on Tuesday, and, he basically told me it's like a what do we have to lose kind of mindset. Like, he obviously gave respect to Coach Capone and for everything he did, but that's kind of their mindset. I mean, they're going into their final home game here. They're really just searching for a win any way they can at this point. So, I think the mindset is, they respected Capone for everything he did here for the past couple of years, but they're really excited to just get out there and, hopefully see a different result because the past, 4 games have been really rough, especially, the last one against UTSA.
We'll talk more about Chandler Morris and Eric Morris's offense in a minute, but just from your perspective as somebody who's following the team, what has gone wrong defensively? Like, do they just not have the talent? Do they not have the size? Is it just they're trying to do too much? What have you kind of seen, watching these games?
Yeah, a little bit of everything you just mentioned. They coming in, Capone, he brought in the 3-3-5 scheme, and it's a little weird to do that at a group of 5 school when, the talent that you have isn't really fit to be in that scheme. So, it's been a struggle, and they ran that scheme last week, and, it's obviously just like a personnel issue. Like, that's what it was last year, and, coming into this year, the whole idea was, they brought in the right pieces to kind of fit that scheme, and it ultimately just did not fit at all. But, they have switched it up at times. Right after the Texas Tech game, they switched it to a 3-4 scheme, having 4 linebackers there, and it worked well. I mean, their first game using it, I think it was against Wyoming, and the defense played their best game, allowing just like 244 yards. So, when they switched to that scheme, it worked. And then against Army, they also threw 4 defensive linemen out there. And it also seemed to really work. I mean, they limited Army to their least amount of points all season. So they've done things to change it up at times. And, the biggest problem I've found is just the 3-3-5 just does not really fit the players that they really have.
Ethan Plinsky with us, Mean Green 24/7, covers North Texas for 24/7 Sports, and yeah, we'll see how they come out and approach things defensively this week. That'll be one of the storylines for sure early in that game. But where do you feel like the mindset is, Ethan, of the players? I did watch Eric Morris's press conference. He talked about they just need some confidence, really, on both sides of the ball. Do you kind of agree with that? And as a result, like, how important do you think the start of this game Saturday will be?
Oh man, yeah. They always talk about it. Like, starting fast is like the biggest thing for this team. If they start fast, things will ultimately go well. And when they do, they're very quick hitting. Like, they'll get you with like a 1-play 75-yard drive. They've done that multiple times. So once they just like figure out the passing game, I think they'll just really like boost their confidence once they get like a big play, explosive play going, like it's going to work out in their favor, and they're going to just feed off of that confidence. But, lately in the past 2 weeks, that has come very far and few in between. I mean, they had a couple big runs, which has been something that hasn't been, UNT's strong suit this year because, they've been a little bit reliant on the passing game because the running backs have just been suffering injuries left and right. And right now, I mean, last week they had Shane Porter go for 193 yards on just 13 carries, and that's a guy that took his first carry in that Texas Tech game in his entire football career. He played, special teams at Kansas State. So, him coming to UNT, he switched over to running back, and I'm getting a little off course. But, yeah, I think if they start fast, the confidence will definitely go up for sure.
Ethan Plinsky with us, covers North Texas for 24/7 Sports. Chandler Morris, obviously the transfer quarterback, has had a really good year. The last few weeks, maybe not as prolific as what he had done at the start of the season, but when he's going well, what is he doing to lead this offense to success?
Man, when he's doing well, he's using his legs a lot as well. Like, he's a really athletic player. Like, he can really stretch the field and, really trick defenses with his legs as well. I mean, he has 4 rushing touchdowns this year on 49 carries, so he's doing it a lot. But in recent weeks, that hasn't really been the case. He's kind of been a little bit more reliant on his arm, and like you said, he hasn't really looked the same in recent weeks. He kind of in the Tulane game, he really took a big sack, and he fumbled, and he had to sit out for a drive. And ever since then, he really just hasn't looked like the same Chandler Morris from the first 8 games of the year. But when he's feeling it, I mean, he'll get out of the pocket, and he's like one of the most accurate quarterbacks on the run. Like, he'll make these shortstop type throws, and he makes it look easy sometimes. So that's really his strong suit. He can really UNT's really reliant in the screen game. They really get some big plays out of that as well. So expect a bunch of screen passes, and Chandler Morris. In recent weeks, I mean, the past 2, he's thrown 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions. So it's been a struggle for him recently. Maybe he's dealing with an injury. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to hope that on anybody, but it's just been a struggle in recent weeks for him.
I think the over-under for this game, the total set around 72-73, which may be, I guess, common for North Texas games. But, I don't know. It just, from my perspective, Ethan, it just feels like a game where, ECU's offense has been pretty hot lately. We know North Texas can score. It almost comes down to, like, who is going to make the big plays defensively, like creating turnovers, or who's going to make the big mistake offensively. Because I don't know if I really see either defense stopping the other a whole lot. I don't know. How do you kind of feel about that perspective going into Saturday?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring matchup for sure. I mean, UNT is coming into this, on 4-game losing streak. They're trying to win out this last home game in front of these seniors, or for these seniors. So, I think we don't really know what to expect with the defense. So I don't imagine they're going to be doing anything much different defensively, scheme-wise. But, yeah, I could definitely see it being a high-score matchup. The over-under definitely is accurate. UNT, when their offense is working, they're definitely scoring like 40 or 50 a game.
Visiting with Ethan Plinsky. A few more things for you, Ethan, from Mean Green 24/7, and we talked to Mark Yellock, who used to coach the D-line at North Texas. He's an ECU alum. He gave me a breakfast spot around Denton. Any recommendations for fans from ECU who may be going on this trip? And again, I've been to Dallas plenty of time. I've never been to Denton, so. What can East Carolina fans expect if they're making the trip from like an atmosphere and what's around the stadium, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, man. So Denton's it's a really unique place. It's a small town kind of atmosphere. I kind of feel like there's not a bunch of buildings, but the hot spot around town is definitely the Denton Square. There's a bunch of cool restaurants and stores over in that restaurant area. One specific restaurant I would recommend. on the square is a place called LSA Burger. It's kind of like a rooftop burger place, and they really good burgers. A little bit closer to the stadium, I would say New York Sub Hub. That's kind of like my spot. They sell really good sub sandwiches, really good price as well. But yeah, I mean, Denton's a really cool place to be around. I've been out here for school the last 2 or 3 years, so I've been having a lot of fun out in this area. If you're coming down, you'll definitely have a lot of fun.
Ethan Plinsky previewing North Texas for us on Thursday's edition of Hoist the Colors. Last thing for you, Ethan. All right, so North Texas 5-5. Obviously had 5 wins last year under Eric Morris, the head coach. I don't know how much pressure, and maybe him firing his coordinator kind of shows how much pressure he may be under to get this 6th win. I mean, they finished with ECU and then at Temple. From their perspective, I would assume 2 games that are winnable if they play well. From your perspective, like what's the fan base's pulse on Eric Morris as he kind of goes through this little tough spell for the Mean Green?
Oh man, yeah, the fans are kind of on edge right now, kind of with the entire football program. Obviously, fans are emotional when teams aren't doing well, and they're kind of in that mode right now, I would say. But Eric Morris, I mean, he's one of the best offensive coaches in the country. I mean, he's really turned this UNT passing game around since he's been here. But I don't know. I would say there is a ton of pressure on the team to get bowl eligible. I mean, that's what UNT, that was Eric Morris's goal going into the year, and they to get to 5-1, and then to where they're at now, it's really really tough. So there's a lot of pressure on the players, I feel like, but they definitely shouldn't overlook this ECU team either, because y'all have been on a roll, a 3-game win streak, and y'all are really good offensively as well. So the defense is going to be, you're going to have their work cut out for them for sure. So the pressure is definitely on. 2 games left into the season. I'm sure they would go 6-6 if they wanted to, if they could, just to get bowl eligible. But obviously going 7-5 is definitely the goal for them for sure.
He is Ethan Plinsky. Check him out. Mean Green 24/7, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Ethan, we appreciate the time, and I'm making the trip to Denton, so I'll try and say what's up when I get there. I'll see you, man.
Awesome, man. I
appreciate it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. That is Ethan Plinsky. Mean Green 24/7. All right, we got to get a break in. We'll come back, and we will visit with Philip Pelkinen, who is producing today's show. We got to talk some hoops. Pirates about to play 3 games in 3 days. We'll do that. We also haven't really looked into the bowl destinations, and I just released an updated hot board yesterday on Hoist the Colors. We'll get into that, maybe share a little bit of that VIP information as we wrap up today's show. This is HTC on a Thursday.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color. And let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Here there be pirates. Back to Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo. How good is this? On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Thursday, 2 days out from ECU and North Texas, where we previewed that. Mark Yellock, former ECU D-line coach, and Ethan Plinsky, who covers North Texas for Mean Green 24/7. You can hear both of those interviews once this show is archived on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe to those channels, as well as the IBX Media app. You can download that to your smartphone and get all of our content along with the Patrick Johnson Show, Talk of the Town, the Logan Zone, and more straight on your smart device. All right, Philip Pilkington is producing today. And Philip, wanted to also hit that we've got some special programming coming your way next week. I know you're busy today. You'll be really busy next Tuesday because we're going to record I think it'll be fun once we get through it. It's just going to be a crazy day with Thanksgiving and the ECU Friday game all cramming the schedule together. But we're going to do a 2-hour special with Steve Logan and Hoist the Colors. So I've submitted fan questions on the Hoist the Colors message board, but I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, you produce Logan's show every Thursday, but we'll see if we can stump him on any of our questions.
Yeah, we will see. And just a programming note for today, because of the basketball game, we are going to have Logan's show, everyone, but our call-in number, so that normally the control room that we do Logan's show out of is where all the basketball games are produced from. So this week, if you want to call in to Coach Logan, it is 252-561-8255, which is our normal call-in number for this show or for Talk of the Town, but you're going to call into that. So it'll be 561-TALK instead of 561-GAME for today's show. So just something to note there. And then, yes, to your point, on Tuesday for us, Thursday for all our listeners, it will be a really fun show. I'm looking forward to it. That way more questions can probably get submitted, and obviously it's going to air at 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving. Yes, we know people are busy, but don't worry. It will be archived in podcast form on the IBX Media app and 943thegame.com.
Yes, really looking forward to having that, and we're going to do it as a bit of a holiday special, so looking forward to that. By the way, going off that programming note, so the ECU basketball game at the Boardwalk Battle is scheduled to start at 3:30. Now, the problem is you have 2 games ahead of that. Right now, as I look at this, James Madison, according to Google, is up 75-61 over Illinois Chicago with 7 minutes and 9 seconds to go.
So
and then there's a game.
Stat Broadcast is a little ahead. They're right at 6 minutes now. JMU is up 80-63, so you'd hope it wouldn't get into too much of a foul fest late with the Dukes up, but they still got 6 minutes left here at 12:39 p.m.
And then the next game is scheduled to begin at 1, which probably is not going to happen. I mean, because you need a warm-up time. Those other teams just can't roll out there right away, right? There's got to be at least like a 15-minute warm-up period, I would assume. But I would think, there is a little bit of a buffer time before the 3:30 start, but don't be surprised. What I'm saying is if the 3:30 tip-off gets pushed a little bit back, which will create even more work for you, Philip.
That's going to be more work for Dom. I will be on the Patrick Johnson
correct.
show at 4 and the Logan Zone at 5. We'll update you on the scores throughout that, as we will have stat broadcast pulled up, and I might pull up something where I can listen to our sister station 107.9 because I'm not paying for Ball TV. I don't even know if they have announcers. It's probably just
Baller
some
TV,
schmuck
baby.
like filming it on his phone or something. I don't know. But yeah, it could be a very extended pregame show. Now, if we do have to do a really long pregame show, since Darren doesn't have a color guy this year with Coach Perry, taking a promotion in the ECU athletic department, maybe Dom, Darren, and I will have to be creative. So maybe it will be a little more work for me, but we'll just go on there and talk about whatever.
You can talk about Baller TV. I will say I am planning to listen to the game, obviously, on IBX Media, but I am going to make the decision to buy Baller TV, at least for this first game. It is $5. I can use it as a business expense. I can write it off my taxes, Philip. Most people can't do that. But I am going to see if I can I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to see how it is, because I have a feeling, like you said, it's just going to be one of those high camera streams with no announcer, and if it's that way, then I'm not going to purchase it for the next 2 days. It just feels like Baller TV there's no way they're going to have like legit announcers, right?
So I haven't talked to Grady Dillon, our sports information director, in a couple days. As of the last time I had talked to him, they had not reached out to him about announcers. Now, he said also just the communication with this tournament was a little lackluster in general, not trying to hopefully I'm not saying anything that's going to get Grady in trouble for saying it. But it's just you can tell it's a first-year tournament. So with that being said, I can't confirm or deny it as far as I know they're not. But like I said, I haven't talked to Grady today or yesterday since they've been down there. So I haven't talked to him since like Tuesday morning.
If anybody knows any James Madison or Illinois Chicago fans that have purchased Baller TV to watch, contact them and let us know. All right, this tournament in general, Philip, ECU is, I think, a 2.5 or 3 point dog to Jacksonville State today, which is a little surprising, but maybe not that surprising considering how they played at Coastal Carolina. What are your expectations going into this tournament? I mean, I feel like if you can get out of it 2-1, no matter what teams you face, you got to feel pretty good. Obviously, if you go 3-0, you're ecstatic. I think even that is hoping for a little much in a winnable tournament. But it seems like a lot of the teams are even. I think if you come home 2-1, you're pretty happy, right?
I think so. I think today could be a little tough, but if you lose today, you'll probably end up playing Stetson tomorrow. I think we're better than Stetson, so that'd put us at 1-1. And then, there's a handful of teams you could theoretically play on that last game. But I like us really over everybody on the top half of the bracket, with the exception of maybe JMU. So if you go 2-0 to start, you'd probably run into the Dukes. I think we'd be dogs in that. But then if you win today, I can't remember who's Stetson playing, because I feel like that one would be a coin flip game. Whoever they're playing is pretty good, right?
Toledo.
Yeah, Toledo's not bad.
Toledo's typically good.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip. If you win today and you play Toledo, I think it's a coin flip. Like I said, if you beat them, you probably lose to JMU. If you lose to them, you probably end up winning your fourth round or your third round game. So I don't know. I think 2-1 is the expectation, and like I said, you'll definitely take 3-0.
We'll keep you updated on the Boardwalk battle over the coming days. If ECU wins tomorrow, they play at 5:30. If they lose today, they would play tomorrow at 1. So speaking of programming notes, if ECU loses today, our plan as of now is so we're definitely live streaming it from 11 to 12:30. I guess, would we go live on radio at that time as well, 94.3 the game, Philip?
Yes, we would just go on. Here's the crappy thing that I just thought about. Might need Dom's help. Pancake will be here. We'll put the intern to work. We'll be on 11 to 12:30, but we all know, like I said, that second game wouldn't actually start at 1. I would have to run in there pretty quick, so I might have Pancake wrap up this show. He's never done anything on the network before. I think he stands a better chance of not messing this up than messing up. And then, too, there's no affiliates on this, and I'm not trying to bag on Pancake, but he's here for the sports side of things. Well,
we'll keep you updated, and just know that basically if ECU loses to Jacksonville State today, that we will air Hoist the Colors at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And if ECU wins, we'll be at 12 noon. Yep. So just keep that in mind. So technically, if ECU loses, that means you get a longer version of Hoist the Colors. How about that? So that could be if anybody wants us to talk more, they can get that as a result of ECU basketball losing. So I don't know if anybody's pulling for that, but keep you updated there.
Everybody's like, double whammy if we lose. Please, God.
Exactly. More I go and Philip. Nobody wants to hear that. All right, I tell you what. Let's get our final break in. Philip will come back. We'll talk some football on the other side. We got to discuss potential bowl destinations. Also, want to give a brief hot board update that I put out yesterday. I'll share some of that information on this Thursday edition of Hoist the Colors.
Get ready to switch and save at Greenville Toyota. Switch out of that old ride and save a new RAV4s, $329 a month. Or test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage. It's time to switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
Hey, on the mountain we've got a saying. Get off your... Show off.
Mountain
Sawyer's Fun Park in Winterville is now open. With over 40,000 square feet of family fun, daily money-saving deals, and a full-service restaurant, Sawyer's Fun Park is guaranteed to have something the whole family will love. Test your ninja skills on our 2-story obstacle course or head over to one of our 5 rock walls and race your friends to the top. And when you've worked up an appetite in our laser tag arena or our one-of-a-kind ropes course, grab a table over at the restaurant and try our world-famous Southern Monster Fries. Reserve your spot today at SawyersFunPark.com and come join in on the fun.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Everybody loves tiebreakers.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
It's time to switch out that old ride and save on a new Toyota. Switch out your current vehicle and get cash on the spot. Then save on a new Corolla for just $229 a month or a Highlander for only $409 a month. Switch and save at Greenville Toyota.
Back to Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo.
Drink up for me, Ozzy Yo-Ho.
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Final few minutes here. We've talked already extensively about North Texas with Mark Yellock and Ethan Plinsky, who covers North Texas for 24/7 Sports. We enjoyed those conversations. You can hear those archived on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube after the show's over, X after the show is over, as well as Facebook on 94.3 The Game. So we've got that archived everywhere. Let's talk a little bit about the ECU coaching search. I released ECU Hotboard 2.0 on hoistthecolors.net on Wednesday. I've been talking to several sources in the industry. You know, obviously you always check in with the ECU sources, which help, but a lot of this stuff comes from agents across the industry, other coaches in the industry outside of ECU. There is a lot of buzz right now about Tyson Helton, Western Kentucky head coach. He has been there since 2019, definitely at or near the top of ECU's board. We'll see what happens with Tyson Helton going forward. Again, we've got a report up on that on our ECU hot board. You can subscribe today for 30% off. But I think he's very much in play right now. Blake Harrell is very much in play as well. We've talked a lot about him. I can confirm he's at least had a conversation with ECU about the long-term future. I just think it's very week to week right now. We'll continue to update you on his status. And I think with each win, you win on the road this Saturday as a dog at North Texas, his case only becomes that much more stronger. We've also heard the names Garrett Riley, Joe Sloan throughout. There's also a couple of new dark horse names I've added that are sitting head coaches in the group of five, so you can check that out at hoistthecolors.net. But really a lot of Tyson Helton, Blake Harrell, Garrett Riley buzz still out there. Joe Sloan we continue to hear, maybe not as much as early. But I would say ECU's list is still pretty long because you're right now, Philip Pilkington producing today's show, ECU has the most attractive job opening right now, today, as we sit here on Thursday, November 21st. But by the end of this weekend, certainly by the end of next week, that's probably not going to be the case. So if you're ECU, you're sitting in a good spot right now. But you have to have contingency plans in place. So everything I hear is John Gilbert, the ECU athletic director, he's got a long list for those contingency plans. He's obviously starting to form some of his opinions on his top targets, but we're starting to learn more about this. And I know we've talked about Tyson Helton from the beginning. And I can't remember. I know Bobby Harvard, who will join us tomorrow, is a big Tyson Helton fan. I know I am as well. What's your opinion on the Western Kentucky coach potentially becoming more and more of a legitimate candidate for the Pirates?
Who's the most qualified, right? And when you look at a lot of these guys, who has coached at the group of five level with similar resources to East Carolina and been successful? Name everybody on the list. Tyson Helton, end of names. So from that standpoint, you know what you're getting. Now, is he probably the home run hire? Maybe, maybe not. You don't know. Sometimes it's like these young guys.
He's definitely not the sexiest name.
It's not they're the sexier names, but also they're the better chance of it busting. It's not going to bust with Tyson Helton. Now, however, Tyson Helton could come here and, it's clear he wants to work his way up the ladder. He could be gone in 2 or 3 years, or he could be ECU's version of Mike Gundy at Oklahoma State, where we win 8 or 9 games every year, and he's here for the next 2.5 decades. So who knows? I think it's the same thing though if you bring in Blake Harrell.
Still a lot to unfold, and I mean, my assumption is as Bobby joins us Friday, we'll probably talk a little bit more ECU coaching search, so tune in for that. But again, if you want to read more on that ECU Hot Board 2.0 up now, Hoist the Colors VIP subscribers can read it. All right, a few minutes left. Philip, we have a prediction from Chuck. He says if ECU wins out, we will be playing Duke in the Military Bowl. How do you feel about that as somebody who pulls for Duke in basketball? And I know you follow them in football.
Yeah.
What would you do if the Pirates faced off against the Blue Devils in Annapolis?
That'd be weird. It would be really odd. It's something I've only had to deal with in non-revenue sports so far. I don't know, it'd be weird. Obviously, I'm so close to the guys in the Pirate program and stuff now. I'd have to pull for ECU, but
or we have to kick you off the show.
Yeah, the question also too is what happens if Blake Harrell doesn't get named the head coach? I mean, if we're playing Duke, is it our seniors who I would still be pulling for, and our walk-ons against a decent Duke team? I don't think Manny Diaz is going anywhere. I mean, obviously they're gonna have some kids at the portal, but they'll have a few players as well stay as long as he's there. I mean, if we don't have Blake Harrell, I'm thinking it's Big Tay, 1 or 2 other seniors, and
Big Tay at nose tackle and running back.
Yeah,
along with Rajay Harris.
Yeah, Rajay will stay. Obviously,
maybe
Dustin
Big
Hall.
Tay will play both ways and play O-line, D-line.
There you go. I mean, hey, J.D. Lampley's already playing both ways sometimes.
Exactly. So I
mean, it's going to be them, Shane Perry, and a bunch of I guess Shane Perry is a walk-on, but he plays.
That's the thing is a lot of ECU fans want an ACC team in the bowl, and I get it. And if Blake Harrell's the guy and you have your whole team intact, I'm all for that. But I also worry if you get a skeleton team and a skeleton staff against a really good team, you could be in a lot of trouble. That's the problem with bowl season right now.
It is, yeah. I think if Blake doesn't get the job, you want to go somewhere like, well, the problem is the Myrtle Beach Bowl is the 23rd, but at least that's against like either a CUSA or a MAC school. You know, the Frisco Bowl's the earliest. That could be a
Boca
group of
Raton
5.
and Cure Bowl.
Yeah. You want to get in as early as possible because you know, to keep maybe some of the players. But again, to your point, yeah, you would almost want to be playing another group of 5, probably from even a lesser conference. Well, I guess all the group of 5 teams are a lesser conference, with the exception of maybe the Mountain West. But that's the problem. I mean, the perfect ideal thing is you win out, Blake gets the job, you beat Carolina in a bowl game, and then you open the season next year by beating State in Raleigh. That is the fairy tale beginning to Blake Harrell's tenure at ECU as a head
Blake
coach.
Harrell lifetime extension immediately.
Yeah. So I mean that's what I want, but that probably isn't going to happen in that way. I'm not saying Blake's not a job. I'm just saying it's probably not what's going to happen. I don't know.
We can only hope. It would be sweet justice if ECU played North Carolina and Virginia Tech in a bowl game, given the fact those two teams seemingly want no part of ECU. Well, we are about out of time on this edition of the show. Again, quick note on the bowl picture before we get out of here. American has 5 teams already bowl eligible, and you're looking at 6, 7, 8 potentially in South Florida, UTSA, and North Texas. All those teams are 1 win away. The American is guaranteed 8 bowl slots. And so you could fill all 8 of those. Nobody else is eligible to make a bowl game as of right now. All right, that'll do it for today's show. Appreciate it, Philip, once again. Also, thanks to Ethan Plinsky, and also thanks to Mark Yellock. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday, our favorite day of the week, heading into the weekend. We'll be live 12 noon with Bobby Harward making our picks and previewing ECU North Texas. We'll see you then.
Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things